Welcome to Perspectives on Social Justice, where we're giving the world a voice. I am Lyra Lane White, your host. All it takes is a drive around the community to see that a number of individuals are indeed taking action and creating projects towards sovereignty. And new urban farmers are taking root every day. And for the rural farmers, there's been a rise in the cost of business in order to meet supply and demand. The times are calling for us to strive to create food systems on every level, from food manufacturers and processors to local communities and individual households. Systems that not only produce, distribute, and consume food, but also command policies of availability, command policies of access distribution, and dictate the culture of its use. Obtaining a high level of sustainability in food systems is not as difficult as you think. All it takes is a little patience and understanding of the processes of food security and sovereignty, and you can be the solution phase of eradicating food insecurity in your community. And the times call for families and communities to create food systems with the goal of seeking sovereignty. But what does that mean? What does it take? And where do we start? We're going to talk about that in our series this month. And I want to thank every one of you for joining our dialogues on food insecurity and farming. For our viewers and podcast listeners, we will produce a quarterly spotlight on this topic on the topic of food insecurity, as well as a blog. For the month of June, we are providing farm spotlights and tips on how you can make a difference in the food chain during these times of higher food prices. We are in dialogue on the concept of food sovereignty and what it means in communities. Our guest, Catherine Arnold. She is the president of Baby Katie's Farm, located in Snellville, Georgia. This nonprofit operation brings low-income neighborhoods together through gardening, with a mission to provide fresh fruits and vegetables to people who are not typically able to afford organic produce or even have access to them. She works with families to help them grow their own food, learn the business of selling and trading commodities, as well as creating and maintaining a budget for financial independence. You can find her on her website as well as her Instagram. What a beautiful Instagram it is. We also have Tony and Belinda Jones. The Joneses established the Morning Glory Homestead Farm as an expansion of what their family grew for their own provisions. The farm offers a variety of vegetables grown using sustainable agriculture and permaculture methods. In addition to their produce, they maintain a full complement of chickens and ducks and hogs, and other meat birds, and offer classes, farm tours, workshops, and they hold special events highlighting South Carolina's Gullah history. And so we're excited to have them here today, and we're glad to have both Catherine as well as the Joneses to join us here today. And we're glad that you guys thought it not robbery to come and be a part of this conversation. Now we're going to go ahead and get started. Now there's a new term out. Well, at least it's new for me. They call it food sovereignty. And it talks about each of us being able to have a hand in control of all of those factors that come into food security, including access, including quality, including use, the production, the distribution of the food, having that kind of control. I can't stop being impressed by the CSAs that are out there trying to put a dent in what's going on with these 11.5 million households. What are some ways that people can aid in their own sovereignty, or their own food sovereignty? How can they get there? What is it going to take? Is it difficult? Is it easy? Give your perspective, both of you, on that.
I think that, offering classes that help demonstrate to people how they can be in control of what they eat, and giving them opportunities to come to your property or where you're farming. I know that since we've been introduced with Katie's, we've heard of her, farm, or her work days, and how people are coming, and we've had similar type of situations, and so that's when, when people get a chance to be around the person who's promoting the food and nutrition, the values of gardening and fresh food and that type of thing, and they get a chance to interact with you on a one-on-one level and talk to you and see how real it is, and that you're not just saying it, you're living it. And so I've really been, impressed. Like, so we're following Kate on Instagram, and when she's offering advice about the nutritional value of something, or a beverage that she's created, or is those types of things, and we're doing some similar types of things, offering recipes. Sometimes people are afraid to try the types of food that we're talking about because they don't know how to prepare it, and when we share that, it helps them have more sense of security about, listen, I'm not afraid to try that eggplant over there that I've never seen before, that maybe that Ichiban eggplant, or, they've only seen the big dark purple ones, and then you see the long elongated light purple ones, and they're like, oh my goodness, I don't know what to do with that. And then you give them a recipe card, or you demonstrate how to use that, and it makes them feel like more empowered. And when people feel more empowered, and then they'll know, listen, I don't have to limit my vegetables to string beans and corn on the cob. Things I only, I know about. Not that those things are not good, but let's branch out a little bit and eat a few more things. And then, to see this is what it looks like when it's growing, and feel the excitement about knowing that something came from that really small seed, and look at that plant now, and the flowers, and it produces that vegetable and that fruit. There's a whole just excitement about seeing that, and then being able to harvest it and bring it inside and cook it. We just totally cut okra the other day. It was in our meal. We had that in a meal just the same day. We're eating it, fresh zucchini. We're gonna find a way that, even try a new way to eat it. So I think when we feel comfortable, sometimes we don't branch out because we don't feel comfortable with what we want to eat. And I think when those of us who are in position to introduce foods and to show people possible ways of preparing it and how good and nutritious it is, that I think we really have a responsibility to help people see, because what if they go to the market and what they find there is something that they've never experienced before, and that's, they only have a couple of vegetables available, and they have to make a selection between something of things they don't know. And if we empower them, if we say, okay, I know that you may not be familiar with this, but if you do this, this, and this, here's a recipe card, here's how you can use it. And don't be afraid of this, because, that's what's in season right now, and that's what we have. And but it's good for you, and it's tasty. And I think when we empower them by that knowledge, then it makes them feel more secure in trying things, and presenting their families with different options. Because when they go looking for green beans and they only finding, some type of vegetable they have not been familiar with, then at least they know now, hey, I've tried this, I know about that, somebody taught me about this, and we're going to have this today. And that's empowering.
And another thing that how you can help folks is getting out of this fear factor. Stop being afraid to take the plunge. You know, the greatest inventions that have ever been made were built on failure. Mm-hmm. So go out, get you a 5-gallon bucket, put some soil in, put a little manure, compost in there, and sprinkle a couple seeds. And don't be afraid that, you may mess up the first time, but if you fail, ask someone in your community. Extension agents are in just about in every community or close by or a phone call away. You can contact those folks and ask, well, hey, I tried it this way and it didn't work. What suggestions, what recommendations you can give to me, and ask the question, and don't be afraid to go out and do your own stuff, and eventually you may graduate from that 5-gallon bucket to that little plot in your front yard. But take the plunge. Stop being afraid of failing. Just go ahead and enjoy what you've been given. I'll pause on that.
I think my biggest thing for people who want to become or want to do their part, as they say, is outside of that fear factor, because that's a big part, time and space. Don't let, I don't have time for this, or, I don't have the space for this, be a factor. There is a way to grow something everywhere and anywhere. Some from little money to very costly. However you want your setup to be, there is a way for you to grow something somewhere, no matter where you are. And I think that people should really just take the time to put a seed in some soil, put a seed in some water, put a seed in some cocoa core, put a seed in some type of medium, whichever medium you like.
Exactly.
And grow something. I mean, okra takes nothing. Okra is probably the best crop you can grow. And if you don't like okra because it's slimy, eat it raw. Pickle it. Do something with it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And the thing of it is too, when you clean out your refrigerator, those old vegetables and fruit that might be looking slimy, don't throw those things away. Take that bucket, put the stuff in the soil, and you'll be amazed what happens.
Yeah, start a compost pile.
You don't necessarily need to.
But some of them you could start a compost pile. And when you were talking about taking taking a seed. I was in the one of the dollar stores in our area, and they have. You can get 4 packs of seed for $1. So that's 25 cents a pack, right? Now, when some people may say, well, those aren't the best quality seeds. Well, you know what? I just decided I was going to try. I've tried them before. I tried them again. And when I was at the checkout, the young lady there, she was like, oh, you got some of the watermelon seeds? And she said, those things will really grow. She said, I bought a pack and I just threw it outside in the yard. And it already got some vines coming up. I said, yes, they will do that. And she was totally amazed. She works at the store. She probably even got them, for cheaper than the 25 cents. But the excitement that she had, because she decided to try it, and she didn't take the time to really try to cultivate, the soil or anything. She said, I just threw them out there in the yard. But, you may want to do a little bit more than that. But if that's all you have time to do and you want to see if it'll grow, give it a shot. And like she found out, she's got watermelon vines growing right now wherever she threw those in her yard. And she is fascinated by the fact that she is now growing watermelons. And 25 cents for a pack, don't take a chance. That doesn't cost much at all when you consider that you're going to get maybe 10 seeds out of that. But one watermelon plant is going to give you somewhere like, 5, 10 watermelons with more seeds. So you imagine if you saved one of those and started some more. I mean, it's just so exciting, the potential that's there when you plant a seed to see what it's growing. And I've even heard when you were talking about the okra, someone said, hey, have you ever heard about people who make soap out of okra leaves? I said, no, I've never heard of that. And so now I've learned something from somebody too who was visiting here, that's another part of the plant. And I know that, almost every part of the okra plant can be eaten. So, or used in some way that's going to benefit our families and the way we take care of each other, of ourselves. So that it's just so cool, the things you can learn from one another. And even in that just one little comment from that lady just made me feel so good about her trying, and I threw it out there and it grew. It's almost like the Tom, the guy with the magic beans, he threw them out and then the stalk grew and he went up to the giant. But hey, it's an adventure and it's a nutritional adventure. And
the thing of it is time for people to stop making excuses. And my wife's gonna kick me under the table on this. Yeah. But one of the good examples or definitions of an excuse is a thin layer of truth spread over a bold-faced lie, and a lie is a lie no matter how you put it. So when you're sitting down watching that TV, watching that favorite program, you can have your bucket in front of you, sprinkle a few seeds, cover it up, and guess what? Voila, you've done two things. You watch your favorite show and you just planted something.
Or you could be soaking them overnight to plant the next day, because that's going to speed up the germination process when you soak the seeds or at least for a few hours.
Okay, so that's okay. Thank you for that. Because the last question I wanted to, and we talked about this before we went on the air, is I wanted you guys to share. Now you've shared a whole lot of tips on how to get started, right? There are lots of organizations that want to start a gardening project. So in your professional, and I'm just really putting it out there, professional, and your professional opinions, if for those organizations that want to start a gardening project, where should they start?
They should start with the local farmer. If you have a growing project and you are an organization who, whether you're familiar with growing or not, reach out to the local farmers, reach out to the extension services, ask them, hey, what farmers are in this area? How can we want to show up in this capacity. We want to know who's already doing this and how they can help us help these people, help us help them help us. It's very important. I think oftentimes we are overlooked as farmers. I mean, even the big farmers are overlooked. Everybody's overlooked as people who grow food, because a lot of people just don't think about where your food comes from. But these are hands. These are hands. These are machines. These are brains. These are people with feelings that are making your food. And oftentimes when people create these big programs or they want to do all these things, you don't go to the people that's already doing it. And it's really important that we include the people who are doing the work in the projects that are going to be the work.
And that's true.
And take time to do your research before you head out on the project. One, the next step is in there is part of that research is getting a soil sample, as Catherine mentioned, and taking it down to your local extension service to see what amenities might need to be added in there. You know, the years of just going out throwing triple 10 in an area, you may not need nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium. You may only need 2 of them. So and especially with the price of fertilizer now, you need to take the due diligence to find out what you're going to need to do that, and then go contact a local farmer. Yes, he or she may charge you a consultant fee, because guess what? They have taken the due time. They need to be paid for their knowledge. I remember years ago when my father was an electrician, and he went on a service job, and he was through in about 10 minutes, and he gave the person the bill, and they said, great goodness, I didn't know that, it would cost, you only did it for 10 minutes. My dad said, you're not paying me for what I did, you're paying me for what I know.
Well, yeah, that's interesting. Definitely so.
That's facts. That's real. Because the years, the decade or longer that we've spent, we're saving people time and mistakes. And when you come to the people that have been doing the work, there's several things that aren't going to happen for you in a good way because you went to a person that was already knowledgeable.
Exactly. There's a organization like that in South Carolina. It's in Calhoun, Orangeburg, and Bamberg counties, and they're called Growing Cob. And they went to farmers and extension people, and along with some DHEC people, and they have this beautiful organization now that's providing food in underserved communities in those areas. And they're growing, not only are they growing at local churches, at local parks, at local hospitals. And the hospital has a beautiful garden and they're giving, for example, fresh greens to some of the patients that are coming out are able to go over and get fresh greens, and there's no fee. They've already received their donations, and from Growing Cob has already received donations, and so they're just growing things to service the community. They have giveaways. They're helping food banks. They're with all of these gardens, and so farmers are growing on their property and donating, and they're connecting with other food service, food hubs. But one of the first things they did was connect with local farmers, and those farmers are sharing their knowledge. Some of them are even sharing some of their seeds. They're donating seeds and their time and their knowledge. And it's a beautiful thing. So like you were saying, it's when farmers are sharing that information, they are helping to troubleshoot for you because they already have that knowledge. They've already been there, done that, and they can tell you what to expect. And especially when you're talking about what diseases and pests may be attacking whatever you're growing, they already know that. And if you want to be organic or as close to that as possible, they can help you pick out ways to be that and provide organic and chemical free produce. So they're a wealth of knowledge, definitely. So we all are, those of us who are planting, and we don't mind sharing because that's a part of what we do. You would hope that some of the food service industries, yes, they're businesses and they want to make a profit, but can't part of your profit be the nutritional value that you pass on to your community? Mm-hmm. Can you see that as a profit, mm-hmm. and not just the money as the profit? Mm-hmm. When you're benefiting your community, that's an in-kind profit right there.
It
And they ought to
is.
be with that.
But that's good stuff. And we're gonna end on that. On next week, the farmers return in dialogue, and this conversation is going to be more about food insecurity and its impacts on